I am California of the past.
I
I
am
am California
California
of the
of the
past.
past.
I am. I am.
I
I am
am
California
California
of the past.
I hear the ringing of the trolley car bell as we make our way up the hill in San Francisco.
I feel the clickety-clack of the San Joaquin daylight as it pulls out of the Sacramento station moving toward the long stop at Lathrop.
I still remember how cold the summer day was when I stepped onto the deck of the aircraft carrier during Fleet Week.
I remember my son's first airplane ride and how much fun he had looking out the window at the tiny towns and cars below us.
I feel fulfilled by the passing day.
I'm familiar with the old-style windmills, seeing their blades rotating with the wind, clanking as they do, and knowing they're doing their work on farms, pulling up precious water from the earth. But when I saw my first wind farm, it threw my sense of personal balance off. Instead of bringing up water, it felt as if it was pulling the earth off to make the earth fly and move forward in a silence that didn't seem real.
We strolled through Sacramento Old Town on a bright fall morning.
I remember the first time I boarded the Delta King riverboat. The smell was of aged wood, as if it was handcrafted some 3 generations ago.
When I was 15, I first went to Alcatraz Island. I remember it was really cold, and I couldn't wait to get on the ferry and go back home.
I hate traffic, but what I fear about being in traffic are accidents. I hate accidents even more.
I feel the sky all around open up to me, and up ahead on the road where that sky meets the land, I feel exhilarated by what is ahead.
I feel a sense of calm and inner peace and solitude when I see the sunset over the Pacific.
I always feel a sense of possibility when we drive across the Golden Gate Bridge. My heart expands with excitement as I look out onto the blue water below.
I recall a trip to the Oregon coast, walking barefoot on the beach in the warm sun, crossing the sand dunes, hearing the waves, smelling the salty air and feeling relaxed and at peace.
The crisp fall air against my cheeks turns them rosy as I walk through the crunchy leaves.
Another car stopped to contemplate the snow-covered hill in front of our house, then slowly climbed almost to the top, only to back down while we all stood cheering.
Springtime, my senior year in high school, flowers, trees, grass, and pollen showed me something new. Watery eyes, sneezing, and the other side of spring fever.
Growing up in inner city meant my family had no land for cultivating daisies.
I wish I could visit all of the missions and keep a log of each of my visits. I do like attending the Native American powwows at the Oceanside Mission. The missions are an integral part of California history.
The handprints are still visible on the earthen bricks, fashioned by people who long ago lived there and constructed the first spiral tower guarding the east end of the enormous chasm.
Although I have never been to Yosemite, thinking of the historical context of it reminds me of my past when I used to routinely hike the Continental Divide in Boulder, Colorado, where I would see the remains of missing mining cars and a burned-out hotel commissioned by President Theodore Roosevelt that was never used.
The market is alive with sounds of people haggling over prices. It is filled with the aromas of freshly baked breads, flowers, and fish. I hear and smell it all.
The Fox Theater was the first building in the valley to be air-conditioned when it opened in 1931.
I can smell the newly harvested hay as I walk across the fields where the early pioneers came, and I can feel the stubble where the hay has been mowed on my bare feet and the hotness of it.
I can almost see the men of town gathering in the town square in their top hats and suits, spending a moment or two catching up on the daily news.
Trolley stations fill my head with images of ladies with large hats and full skirts, gents in suits with pocket watch chains dangling, lined up on the edge of the San Francisco Bay, waiting to hop a cable car.
I remember when my family saw a lot of flamingos in the zoo for the first time. We took a roll of film of them because they were so pretty.
When I caught the fish, it made a big splash and the water sprayed all over me.
I remember my mom telling me how she was anxiously waiting at the train station for my father to return from the war. Her heart filled with excitement, but also with worry, as she might not recognize him. As she reflected on that day, I visualized the train station in my mind and her watching every soldier stepping off the train, finding their eyes met, they hug, they cry, and never wanting to let go.
I feel weird standing in front of this funhouse mirror. It's my first time seeing myself in one of these mirrors. It renders the most unflattering image of me, and I'm 14, so not a good time to have an unflattering image.
I remember when my sister and her boyfriend took me to Santa Cruz to the boardwalk.
I remember camping in our backyard with my daughter in a tent, roasting hot dogs over the barbecue.
Guess what? John asked me to the ice cream social.
I remember the wispy sound and the crisp smell of money being counted by the efficient teller.
My sisters and I desperately wanted horses and spent hours designing and drawing pictures of our horse farm and deciding how many horses and of which colors we would have. After school, we'd walk home to the bottom of our hill, whistle for our horses, and ride them home. Years later, my youngest sister once told me that she really believed it was true.
I remember sitting at the kitchen table listening to my father tell stories about his experiences as a reconnaissance pilot flying a P-38.
I smell the scent of pipe tobacco as I run around the reception tables. I'm chasing through old men, they're chatting while their wives are sitting and gossiping about the bride's gown.